Welcome to Veteran to Veteran. I'm Conrad Kaskowski along with Dwayne Wick. We're members of the Plymouth American Legion Post 243 at Ladwig Zincraft. I am the post adjutant, just nothing more than the secretary. Dwayne's got a couple roles. He's the vice commander and he is also the Sheboygan County commander, so he stays busy. All right.
So for this show, we are going to continue our discussion about prisoners of war and missing in action.
Correct. We're going to do the format a little differently. We're going to ask the question to ourselves and provide the answer, kind of a frequently asked questions. So we'll be discussing the work of the Department of Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. In this discussion, accounting will be referring to the accounting of any prisoner of war or missing in action. There are no current prisoners of war according to the Department of Defense. There are, however, an estimated 81,000 missing in action. The mission of the Department of Defense Accounting Agency is to provide the fullest possible accounting for our missing personnel to their families and the nation.
So I'm going to explain what is personal accounting. When American personnel remain captive, missing, or otherwise unaccounted for at the conclusion of hostilities, the DoD accounting community becomes the responsible agent for determining the fate of the missing and, where possible, recovering of them alive or recovering the identity of the remains of the dead. For those killed in action, the accounting community is charged with locating, recovering, and identifying their remains. More than 81,000 Americans remain missing from World War II, Korean War, the Cold War, and the Vietnam War.
So how is this agency funded? The Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency is a defense agency within the Department of Defense and receives annual funding through the Department of Defense, defense-wide operation and maintenance and procurement appropriations.
So does the agency negotiate with hostile nations to gain access for recovery and investigation teams? The agency holds technical and consultative talks with many different countries in a typical year. Generally, they present their request schedule of investigations and operations in a given host country. They may show them which specific cases they're working on and why it's important that they visit a certain area at a certain time of the year. They talk about logistics and how we plan to move their teams in country and the kind of support they would need from them at the national, provincial, or local levels.
So how are these sites prioritized? Well, many factors are related to how recovery sites are prioritized. Weather, terrain challenges, site accessibility, and various logical and operational concerns help determine the planning, staging of recoveries. The agency is also required to routinely carry out technical negotiations and talks with representatives of foreign governments in order to ensure positive and safe in-country conditions for today's agency service members. Now, as you can imagine, these efforts, they don't happen overnight. The agency makes every effort to reach sites in jeopardy as soon as possible, and that too is a factor in prioritization. Some sites are in danger of being lost due to urbanization and or environmental, regulatory, or political issues beyond the agency's control. A question comes up once in a while: does the DPAA conduct recovery operations in North Korea. The agency does not currently conduct operations in North Korea. However, through past operations, they have recovered over 200 remains. The U.S. remains committed to the mission of achieving the fullest possible accounting of missing service member. When conditions are deemed suitable, they will open up discussions with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea regarding a restart of recovery operations. There are approximately 7,500 service members still unaccounted for in Korean War. Of that total, it is estimated that approximately 5,300 are still located in North Korea. The majority of missions in North Korea were in the Unsan and Gyeongsang counties. Now, a question might come up about Vietnam. However, we have trade negotiations with Vietnam currently, so those negotiations for those recoveries are a bit easier than it would be for dealing with North Korea.
How many types of teams does the agency send out into the field, and how many? They have research and investigation teams comprised of 10 to 14 members who are primarily analysts and linguists. Their job is to research the archives of the host nation, be it museums, government archives, and they investigate any leads in last known alive cases, still our number one priority, and obtain the oral history from host nation military and governmental officials that may have broad information about the particular region or battle. They can develop 30 to 40 new leads through these means. The agency can also form investigation teams consisting of 4 to 9 members with specialized skills, team leader, analyst, linguist, medic, and sometimes anthropologists. Their job is to follow up on the leads of the RIT through interviewing potential witnesses, conducting on-site reconnaissance, and surveying terrain for safety and logistical concerns. They have more than 24 recovery teams, including underwater and mountaineering teams. Each team consists of 10 to 14 people, comprised of forensic anthropologists, team leaders, sergeant, linguists, medic, life support technician, communication technician, forensics photographer, explosive ordnance disposal technician, and mortuary affairs specialist. Recovery teams use standard field anthropology methods in the excavation as directed by the on-site anthropologist.
Now you might ask, which office contacts the family of a missing American once an identification is made? Once the agency completes an identification in its laboratory, they prepare an extensive set of briefing materials and send them to the Service Casualty Office, the SCO, the Service of the Missing Person. Then the SCO contacts the family to let them know an identification has been made. They will schedule a convenient time to come to the family's home, brief them on the entire case. Often, the primary next of kin invite other family members to be present so all get the same information at the same time. The mortuary officer will have studied the case extensively before he or she visits with the family in order to best respond to any questions that might be asked by the family. If the family accepts the identification, their next decision is how do the remains be buried. The mortuary officer will have several options available, including burial in a hometown cemetery, in a national cemetery, or burial at Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. Of course, the military pays for all expenses associated with the transportation and burial of the remains. Though there are minor differences among the services, in general, they will also pay for 2 family members to fly to the location of the selected burial site, as well as for hotel expenses during the period of the funeral.
Why does this take so long to complete a recovery? Many months and often years of planning and research go into a site before the actual excavation begins. An excavation cannot begin until we think we have pinpointed the possible location of an MIA or MIAs. Here's how the process works. Researchers and historians will examine the host nation archives, the museum's government archives, investigate any leads in last known alive cases, still our number 1 priority, and obtain oral histories from the host nation, military, and government officials that may have a broad information about the particular region or battle, and the investigation teams will follow up on their leads through the interviewing potential witnesses, conducting on-site reconnaissance, and surveying terrain for safety and logistical concerns. Their goal is to obtain enough information to correlate a particular site with an MIA. Again, if they don't find evidence, then the process will continue until a point in the future when enough evidence is gathered to recommend an excavation. Once the recovery is approved, recovery teams will be scheduled to enter the country to conduct a forensics anthropology recovery and find remains of an MIA or MIAs. An agency forensics anthropologist on the recovery team designates the sites that will be excavated based on information provided from previous investigations. Team members carefully sift through tons of soil by digging and screening plots of dirt in hopes of recovering clues to the missing. Missions can last from approximately 30 days to 65 days, with teams digging 8 to 10 hours daily. Many factors can contribute to the length of time it takes to complete an excavation at a particular site.
Now I'm going to inform you of a very little unknown fact. The University of Wisconsin is involved in missing in action called the UW-MIA Recovery and Identification Project. The UW-MIA RIP works to recover identity and repatriate missing in action U.S. service members by conducting annual field excavations and year-round research assistance to families of missing service members. The project consists of interdisciplinary team of academic experts, student volunteers in the fields of history, archaeology, forensics, biology, and collaborating to make these missions possible and to make these missions a success. The UW-MIA RIP was the first academic institution to partner with the Defense POW-MIA Accounting Agency. The program served as a model for the DPA, which now partners with over 50 other academic and nonprofit institutions for MIA identifications. The DPA assigns the UW-MIA RIP team recovery cases and provides informational logistical support. Past DPA assignments have focused on the European theater of World War II. The project is funded strictly through donations. There are current efforts to obtain state funds, and just to add a little bit, we met and had at one of our Legion social nights a retired United States Air Force Major General Timothy Vidales, who was a board member of this project and gave us a entire summary and photographs and his efforts in that they recovered a Wisconsin soldier. So it was extremely interesting.
Very interesting.
And the work was just unbelievable. The main mission of the agencies we discussed is to help bring closure to families of the missing in action. When we honor those that paid the ultimate sacrifice on Memorial Day, it is often said that for the families of the missing in action, every day is Memorial Day. So thank you for watching. I want you to stay safe, healthy, and keep active. Thank you.
Thank you.